Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel of Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, man. I really do hope that. Welcome back to, drumroll please, Chelsea News. That's right, the daily series here on the channel, mate, where I reflect on what's been said about Chelsea, what's going on, the happenings, giving you my opinion on it, here in the studio, more importantly asking for yours, friend. Today, we are discussing N'golo Kante, Thomas Tuchel's comments, and what that means, the ramifications, how we're going to build this team for the future. I also want to reference home form, not great, of course, we drew again yesterday, briefly, Antonio Rudiger's goodbye. Really worth giving that a read. He's sort of done an open letter to Chelsea fans and spoke about his time at Chelsea, and, why he's moving on. Really, really insightful. Make sure you do drop a like to show some sweet love and support. It means a lot, friends. And you're of course, all welcome to subscribe. If you choose to subscribe, or if you're already subbed, please do hit the bell to ensure you get notified upon upload. Let's start off with Antonio Rudiger's goodbye. I'm not going to read it to you. It's quite long. I was actually tempted to make a video to narrate his goodbye, because it's not that long. It's quite long, but I would have loved to talk you guys through it. But at the end of the day, I'll leave that to you guys to read for yourself. It's on the playerstribune.com. And he tells a lot of stories, man. He talks about his time at Chelsea, the difficulties when he was out of the team, what Tuchel said when he first arrived. He didn't ask him about tactics in football. He just said, Tony, tell me about yourself. And he's really connected. He's got really close relationships. He sees Kovacic like a brother. He's really close. He does a massive segment on N'golo Kante, how this guy is just like a phenomenal person. And that leads us on nicely in a bit to talking about Kante from Tuchel's comments. He speaks about Ziyech, of course, and Zuma, that they're all Muslims and stuff, so they had that sort of community. And he speaks a lot about Mason Mount as well. He thinks this guy is incredible, this mentality of this young kid, and spoke about him in the Champions League win. And it's just really lovely. It's really nice, man. He spoke about stories of when he received abuse from a Chelsea fan, but then all the other fans rallied around him after the 6-0 loss, and he felt a connection to the fans. He thinks London's his home, but, he spoke about the business side of it, contract negotiations stopping for so long, being uncertain, and then the sanctions preventing, it's stuff that we already knew about, stuff that we've been talking about and I've been reporting about here on the channel. He just sort of reiterated, and it is what it is. And to be honest, he wasn't going with any bad blood for me. But when you've taken time to write a goodbye like this and tell a story, Hazard did something, he did a long social media post and, referenced a couple of goals, but I don't think Hazard's particularly a storyteller, but that was a nice goodbye. But this does make me have a positive feeling. I don't think you're going to get any stories like this from, Alonso or Christensen if they go, maybe Cesar Azpilicueta because he's captain, but it's a really nice goodbye, man, and I wanted to reference that. Go check it out. It's on he's posted on his socials, it's on the Players Tribune. Great story, and you learn about a lot of his teammates, which is just nice to see and hear. Now, of course, he references a great deal N'golo Kante. Now, before we read Tuchel's comments and reflect on that, Kante, what is Kante? He's a one-of-a-kind, phenomenal entity that won, in many ways, Leicester the title, was such an important part of it. You could argue the strongest factor. Goes to Chelsea, Chelsea wins the title. And Chelsea had finished 10th the season before. There's the joke about the Kante twins, how he's got 3 lungs, how he's everywhere, he covers every blade of grass, how, he's the best interceptive midfielder I've ever seen. The way he, tackle from behind cleanly, get his leg around, he's got that telescopic little leg. He somehow wins aerial duels, despite being absolutely tiny. Very combative, and he's just insane, and he had developed his game from Sarri onwards. I'm not one of these people that thinks, Sarri was a maniac playing him in the sort of number 8 role. I think he did develop his game, his ball progression, his ball carrying up the pitch. I'm not saying he's like a Mateo Kovacic or a Ruben Loftus-Cheek for that, but he developed his game. Absolutely insane. We've been blessed to have him. He's won, multiple Premier Leagues, he's won the Europa League, he's won the Champions League with like man of the match awards all the way to the final in the final stages. He's won the World Cup as a key player for France. PFA Players of the Year, Football Writers Player of the Year, EA Sports Player of the Year. Sorry, I've got hay fever, I'm struggling. He's been absolutely insane, and we've been blessed to have him. Also, he's only 31. Modric is like 37 running things in the midfield. So, yeah, but and people say, oh, they're different, they're different kinds of players. Modric can be a bit more of a dictator where Kante relies on running around a bit more. True, but Modric has done a lot of running recently, trust me, in these last 2 campaigns. So it's difficult to say he's dusted, Kante, but he's been off it for a long time. I generally thought he's not been the same in terms of consistency since the Europa League final when the aforementioned Maurizio Sarri played him injured through that final, and he had injury problems ever since when Frank Lampard came in. Now, of course, we've seen flashes of absolute magnificence from him since, notably in that Champions League run, when he won man of the match in both semi-finals and the final, potentially one of the quarter-finals as well, I can't remember, but in absolutely incredible performances. But the inconsistency's been there. And lately, and this is why I'm going to read these quotes in a minute, which is a little bit eyebrow-raising, but we'll discuss it. Lately, he's been very poor. Like, very poor, to the point where it's been kind of sad to see, because everyone loves him. And if you've read that, story from Toni Rudiger, it will remind you why everyone loves him. So I'm going to read these quotes now from... Sorry guys, I know it's gross when someone's sniffing down the mic, but I'm just really struggling with hay fever. I've taken the tablets too. So this is what Thomas Tuchel had to say, referencing N'golo Kante. I think he is our key player, but key players need to be on the pitch, and he's played only 40% of the games. So maybe it's a miracle that we arrive in 3rd place. Wow. He is our Mo Salah. He is our Van Dijk. He is our Kevin De Bruyne. He is our Neymar. He is our Kylian Mbappe. He is simply that player, the guy who makes the difference, and if you only have him 40% of the time, it's a huge problem. Given that's the percentage, it's maybe a miracle how consistently we've produced results, and puts everything into perspective, because I saw how Liverpool struggled last season without Van Dijk. They struggled heavily. Still finished above us though, didn't they? In the end, and 3rd. You see the difference? N'Golo is our key player, and he needs to be on the pitch. Right, now, this is a challenging quote for me, because for the reasons I stated previously, yeah man, he's like unique. I said this I think yesterday's video or the day before. When you a few 2 or 3 years ago, you go, who's world class? Oh, Eden Hazard and N'Golo Kante, top of the list. Maybe you'd had Courtois in when he was in the team and playing very well. But you wouldn't even blink before saying Kante and Hazard. Like, they were the two. Kante won PFA Player of the Year and all those awards above Hazard when, we had a title-winning Eden Hazard who would, not like his best season, but nearly his best season. It's certainly up there. And Kante wiped the floor with him with awards. So yes, he is of that level. He's in that sort of pantheon of the greatest, unique, talented sporting entities. And therefore, he of course needs to be spoken in the same breath as all those other guys. But he's not been playing like that, and he's not been playing like that for a little while, and he's going to be 32 next season. So, here comes the age question. Well, yeah, and you got to stop talking about post-30. And yeah, I'm willing to reassess my personal view on players post-30, especially on unique cases, especially when you look at Lewandowski, Benzema, Modric, etc. But these guys are unique, and it's not like, a lot of players, if they've played a lot of football, and if they've relied on running around a lot, that this might not be the case for them. And you could say N'Golo Kante is a perfect example of that type of player that relies on his engine and high-octane play that can just burn out, man, especially after injury. So it's interesting to hear Thomas Tuchel say this, because he's pretty much saying if he could, he'd build the team around N'Golo Kante. And many people are thinking, okay, so we're going to have this huge rebuild. We spoke about it in yesterday's video. You know, it's not an improvement. It's not a refreshing the squad. It's a complete rebuild. And we're thinking, okay, new midfielders come in. Maybe Jorginho goes. I think a lot of people think, okay, Kante stays, but Kante maybe doesn't start and rotates in and starts some games. But from what Tuchel's saying here, he would build a whole team around N'golo Kante, which is interesting. Look, man, I'm all for it. I trust the coach. I trust N'golo Kante's natural ability when confident and when fit. You know, just rewind a couple of minutes when I was waxing lyrical about what a phenom he is. So that's how I feel. I'm really interested in putting out to you guys, the fans, and hearing what you think about this Kante situation, because the social media, the timeline yesterday watching that Chelsea game was just N'Golo Kante's sadness. Loads of accounts certainly that I connect with. I'm just seeing at the same time, like, what happened to Kante. It's, frustrating. I don't like seeing him like this. A bit like almost Ivanovic. Do you remember when Ivanovic just started falling off and was just done at Chelsea? Of course, he's a Chelsea great as well. A bit different situation. But yeah, we move on. Excuse me. Last game, home game of the season. Matt Law tweets, 8 Premier League home wins for Chelsea this season with 1 game to go. We might not win our final home game, and then, out of how many games there? Was it 19 home games? How's it work? Yeah, I think so. 8. We could end with 8 wins, which is absolutely mental. We're 7th. We're worst in the entire top 7 for home wins. To be honest, just on home form, I'd be interested to see where we are in the league. I think we'd be very much. I think we'd be profoundly mid-table. We've got like 20% extra points away from home. And away from home, you're supposed to get 20% less points because you win so many at home, which is like a 40% swing. I don't know if that's relevant for these maths. But we should have an extra, I don't know, at least maybe like 20 points and be sort of near a title race or something from home wins. This is absolutely peculiar. Jose Mourinho didn't lose a home game at home for his Chelsea span. Wasn't it like years or something? Like 2 or 3 years? Something insane. Stamford Bridge was a fortress. Like, let's have it right. It was an absolute fortress. You couldn't win at Stamford Bridge. You couldn't win at Chelsea. Chelsea, you could beat them maybe away. Well, when you're at home, when they're away. But you don't win at Chelsea. Simple. And especially when you think how Chelsea are under Tuchel, not giving up, well, in theory, or how he started under Tuchel, not giving up chances, low chance giveaways, or whatever the term would be. And we've been awful, dismal at home. We've been more than good enough away. If we keep that away form and have normal Chelsea home form, we're in a title race. There lieth the problem. There is the problem. Chelsea's home form. Now, what is that? Has that been the sanctions? Has that been the uncertainty? Has it been the Romelu Lukaku interview? Maybe. Maybe it's been a collection. Can the new ownership change that? A redevelopment of Stamford Bridge? Now, here's the question. If we change Stamford Bridge, can we make it into a fortress again? Redesign the stands to have a better acoustic, atmospheric vibe to ensure there's an atmosphere conducive for success again. I think the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has been developed like that really, really well as a new developed stadium. I think maybe the redevelopment of Stamford Bridge could be a huge factor of Chelsea's home form. Anyway, I've spoken for a long time. I'm dying of hay fever, so I'm going to put it out to you guys. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Thank you for liking the video. You are, of course, all welcome to subscribe. See you very soon. Keep it locked. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me baby.